So today's the day we're finally going to give you guys an update on what's been going on with the pond. The last time I gave you guys a legitimate update on the pond was back at the end of January. And at that time, the pond was at an all-time high. So the total depth of the pond when it is full should be about 12 feet. And I think back in January, we were at 10 foot, 8 inches. So we were just a little bit over a foot shy of the pond being full. And I thought, our problems are solved, the pond's gonna be full, and we can start worrying about doing all the fun things with the pond, building a dock, building a water slide, putting aeration, a fountain, all that good stuff in. And then February was extremely dry, and the pond lost about 2 feet in the month of February, which is obviously not due to evaporation. We're not losing a lot to evaporation in the month of February. And then March was really wet again, and it got back up to about 10 foot, 8 inches of water height. And then April was dry and it dropped back down again another 2 feet. And so we've just been kind of yo-yoing up and down, never getting completely full. And then we would get, a really wet month and it would go back up. So I don't know, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, where it stops draining, that's where your problem is. Do something or address that area because that's where it's leaking at. It can't get up past that point. It won't go below that. I don't think it's that it ever stopped leaking. I think the problem is that we just started getting more rain and it started filling back up faster than it was leaking out. So, really the reason that I haven't given you guys an update on the pond since January is because it's the biggest failure of our YouTube channel. We've been doing this for 5.5 years. We've done a lot of really cool projects. We did the garage addition, the landscaping on the front of the garage, the concrete stairs we did ourselves, the equipment lean-to shed, the roadside firewood stand. A lot of the projects we have done here have come out really well and gone really well. And this pond has just been kind of the biggest black cloud hanging over the channel of projects that have not gone well for us. But you know what? This is real life, and I gotta be real with you guys. This is just one of those things that hasn't gone the way we wanted it to. And I didn't want to come out here and do an update and talk about it because it's been kind of embarrassing until we had a plan of attack. What were we going to do to rectify the situation down here with the pond? So let me flip the camera around and show you what's going on. So if you guys have been following this 3-year-long pond saga, I'm not going to rehash everything, all the things that we've done to it from the beginning of construction to all the repair attempts we have made to it, but you can see right now we've got the pond completely drained down. I've taken all of the sand that we had in here for at some point what's going to be a beach area. I've got that all pulled back out because you don't want sand in the bottom of a pond. But last year we hauled in here 53 triaxle loads of clay. Now I'm going to use the word clay loosely because I think if we had brought in 100% pure clay, our pond probably would have been fixed. I want to say we probably put in, with 53 loads of clay, 8 to 12 inches of clay in the bottom of the pond here. But the problem is if you look up at the sides, like down here, you can tell this stuff all looks really good, the way that it's cracking and stuff, that's definitely clay. And when it's dry, you really can't take your hand and make a dough ball with it. But if we come down here to some of the stuff that's still a little bit wet, you grab a handful of this stuff. That is hard as a rock right there, the stuff that's dry, but even that little piece that I just ripped off there, let's come down here and grab some that's, falling in. Yep, there goes my shoe. Yeah, that's sticky stuff right there. So I know we've got clay in here. There we go. That's your clay right there. But what I think has happened is some of the loads that were coming in, or maybe all of the loads that were coming in, did have a lot of gravel and sand and stuff mixed in, because if you look at this upper section, when we brought the liner in, we came all the way up to the edges. So all of this was new material. And there is a lot of rock and gravel mixed in through here. Now, obviously the stuff that's going to be above the water level, as it gets rained on and everything, all the fines are going to wash down, leave the big heavy rock behind. So that's why the area that was underwater looks a lot less rocky than the areas that were up out of the water. But with the way that this looks up here, if I paid for 53 loads of pure clay to seal a leaking pond, and if you look at the amount of gravel that has exposed itself from the rain and all that, we probably have, I don't know, 15 or 20 loads of gravel mixed in with the clay that we wanted to seal this pond. So, I'm no dirt moving expert or pond sealing expert or anything, clearly. But if I had to guess, that would be the cause of our problem, is even though we do have a lot of clay in the bottom of the pond, we have just a little bit too much of sand, gravel, rock mixture that is allowing the water to drain through the bottom of the pond. Now, luckily, the guy that we hired to haul in all of that clay and seal our pond for us last year is a pretty honest guy. Ralph Hunter from R Hunter Incorporated here in northwestern Pennsylvania brought in the 53 loads of clay. And actually, as they were bringing it in, I did ask him, I said, hey, seems like there's some rocks here and there and some gravel. And he said, oh, we've hauled out of this pit before and sealed ponds with it. And I don't doubt that he has, because why would he make that up? But he has assured us that he's not going to leave us hanging. He's going to come back out here and do what it takes to seal this pond. Because I was honestly concerned. You know, we paid $15,000 for the load of clay and the bulldozer and him to come out here and spread it. And I thought, you know, we're not really any better off than we were last year. And I thought I was going to have to put more money into it, but he said he's going to take care of it. He's not going to leave us hanging. He's going to come out here and get this pond sealed up. So, you know, when you find a contractor that will stand behind their work, it really does make you feel good and makes you want to, you know, we can't win them all, right? Even though he didn't seal this the first year, he's going to come out here and make it right and not charge us any more money, which is a relief off of my shoulders. So the next question becomes, where are we going to source more clay that is better than what was brought in here? And I don't think we're going to dig out what was brought in, because as I've shown you, there is good clay in here. There was just a little bit too much rock and gravel mixed in with it. So we're going to leave this in here because I do think it is providing some water impermeability, but obviously not enough. So I told Ralph, I said, hey, if you ever come across blue clay, that's what I've always heard, is blue clay is going to be the stickiest, most water impenetrable clay out there. If you come across that in the next couple of months, just start stacking it up and we'll bring it out here. And in one of his gravel pits, you know, that's how he mines for gravel, is he's usually got to dig through a couple feet of clay to get down to the gravel. And he has come across some blue clay. Actually, let me take you out there and show you that right now. All right, so here we are out at Ralph's gravel pit. Now this is option one of two options that we have of where we want to get clay from. But as you can tell, he's got stacked up here some of this blue clay. Now, you know, when you hear blue clay, you might think it's going to be actually blue. It's not really. It's kind of like a blue-gray. You can tell it's different colored than the rest of the material out here. My concern with this stuff, I mean, I do think that this is better than what we brought in, but if you get up here and look real close, you can still see there's still rock and gravel in here. And last year, if we had brought this in, I would have been okay with it, but now I'm just a little bit gun shy on seeing rock and gravel mixed in with the clay. Now over here is the pit that he's digging it out of. Let's go take a look at what that looks like. I do think that this is pretty interesting to see when you've got a hoe that'll dig 25, 30 feet down in the ground, to kind of be able to see the cross section of the earth between the topsoil, you know, whatever type of material this is, if that's just, you know, regular brown or tan clay, and then he gets into this vein of this blue clay down here. Thought it'd be worth coming down here and taking a look at the walls. So yeah, you can still see rock and gravel mixed into it. And again, if this is what he would have brought last year, I probably wouldn't have questioned it for a second, and this might work, but I'm just a little shy about it. I'd like to find some clay somewhere, some blue clay that doesn't have a rock anywhere. So it's funny how these things work out. The salesman for the new building that we just built down in the wood yard lives on 10 acres in a swampland. Now, his land isn't actually a swamp, but he lives in and around surrounding swampland. And he said, if you put a shovel in the ground, you will not find a single rock, and his entire 10 acres is nothing but blue clay, and there's only about 2 inches of topsoil. So as we were coming up with the plans for the new building, we got to talking about my pond and how it wouldn't hold water, and the clay on his property. And he has a very small pond on his property, no bigger than about the size of a swimming pool. And he wants to make his pond bigger. Meanwhile, I need to put more clay in my pond. And so we kind of were talking about logistics and how that might work. And I told Ralph, I said, hey Ralph, I think we've got a 2 birds, 1 stone situation here. This guy wants his pond dug bigger. You could make a little bit of money off of that project. Meanwhile, get the material for my pond that hopefully will be better quality, water impermeable material for my pond, and get both projects taken care of, one fell swoop. So what we're gonna do right now is haul my excavator over to my pole building salesman's place and go dig a test hole and see if his blue clay has any less rock in it than this stuff here. Oh, and by the way, this is the pit that he dug all the material out for my pond. All right, so we made it over to Robert's house. This is the guy who sold me the pole building from Koblenz Builders, and it just so happened that this is his pond. And like I said before, he lives down in a swampland area, and he says underneath about 2 inches of topsoil here, he's got nothing but 10 acres of clean blue clay. And you want to make this pond quite a bit larger, so all the extra spoils and stuff that would come out of there would help us out with our pond. So let's go ahead and dig a test hole and see what it looks like. Am I hitting rock, or does it just sound like, yeah, see, like that right there, that's...
It was a little wet in that one spot.
There's definitely a vein going through there of water, because that's wet. What do you think, Ralph?
I'm afraid to say anything. Just saying about it, I just, my God, I just been doing this, and then now I got one that doesn't work right. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, there's really not many stones in it.
Right, until I hit that little bit of...
Well, you got a vein of gravel running through there, and it doesn't amount to...
Yeah.
You know, that's where it's, you know...
Because this stuff right here, that whole wall looked really good, coming out
Well,
nice
it's
big
funny,
chunks.
yeah.
Yeah. And it was digging hard too.
Right, yeah.
So...
Well, will that vein make it so you don't want to use it, or what?
Well, this is where I'm going to lean
Know
on...
what I'm saying?
This is where I'm going to lean on your professional opinion a little bit too on, I mean, obviously a truckload of that stuff there
Yeah.
is not good, but a truckload of this stuff is. So it'd probably be that right there. I think that's right there. That's pond sealing stuff. You want me to see if I can get through that layer of rock? That gravel vein then must not be very big. once you get into it, that stuff is hard digging.
Oh,
Holy cow.
That'll give you a good layer of clay right there.
Holy smokes.
Well, the other thing it is you know, like you said, you really don't want this.
Some of this you do.
But I'm telling you right now, that'll hold water. That'll hold water, yeah.
You think even with that little bit of...
It ain't gonna hurt a damn thing.
Yeah.
But then look, like I said,
Yeah.
I stand correct.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows?
All right, so here is what we found. We do have a little bit more than 2 inches of topsoil there, maybe 8, 10, 12 inches of topsoil. And then as you look down in the hole, we start getting into kind of some of that orange brown clay that you see sitting over there. And then as you go down, there was a real small little vein, maybe 8 inches or so of kind of a gravelly material. Like, let's see if I get a handful somewhere here. I don't know if you can hear the rocks in there grinding around. And then as you get down maybe 6 feet deep, 7 feet deep, you get into some really, really nice blue clay with not a rock in it. And that is this stuff over here. So I think we've found what we're gonna be using for the pond. This stuff right here. So Ralph was just over here talking to Robert. They came up with a game plan for what they're gonna do for his pond, stripping topsoil. They're going to expand that pretty much all the way over here. And all of the clay spoils that come out, we're gonna get trucked over to our pond. I don't know how soon all this is gonna come together because they're gonna have to do some work over here, stripping topsoil and getting things together. But hopefully within the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll start hauling some of this good blue stuff over to the bottom of our pond. So anyways, guys, that is the update on the pond. Hopefully we'll be trucking some clay here in a little bit, but it's just kind of funny how these things work out. We went to go put up a building, hired Robert and his team here to put up the building, and got to talking with them. And as it turns out, he's got a pond that he wants made bigger, and sitting underneath it where the pond needs to go is a ton of this blue clay with not a rock in it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.